Today's Bible story is called Two Parables. It is actually two stories in one. Now, a parable is a short story that usually teaches some sort of lesson, and Jesus was very well known for this. The two stories that I am going to read about are found in Luke chapter 10, verses 25 through 37. And then chapter 15, 1 through 7, and 11 through 32. And it says, Jesus knew that sometimes the best way to teach was with a story. A group of people was gathered around Jesus. Some of them believed what Jesus was teaching, and some did not. One believer asked, "Teacher, what does God want me to do?" "Love the Lord your God with all your heart, soul, and mind," Jesus told him, "and be kind to your neighbors. Treat them the way you want them to treat you." "Very well and good," another man said. He was also a teacher, and he was sure he knew more about God than Jesus did. "But who are my neighbors?" Jesus told him a story. The Good Samaritan. A man was walking along the road from Jerusalem to Jericho. Suddenly, 3 robbers jumped out from behind a tree. They grabbed his bags and his money purse and beat him up. Then they ran off. The man lay beside the road, half dead. A short time later, a priest came along the same road. He saw the injured man. He said to himself, "That poor fellow looks half dead, but I can't do anything about it now." So he crossed to the other side of the road and went on his way. Later, a worker at the temple came by. He said, "I don't have time to get involved." And he, too, walked across the road and continued on his journey. Next, a man riding a donkey came along. He was from Samaria, a region north of Judea. The Samaritans were also Jews, but they were not welcome in Jerusalem. They had their own beliefs, and the people in Judea did not trust them, nor did the Samaritans trust the Jews in Judea. But when the Samaritan saw the man laying by the side of the road, he took pity on him. He went up to the injured man and saw that he was alive. "Please help me," the injured man moaned. "Don't worry," said the Samaritan. "I have olive oil and wine to treat your wounds, and cloth to bandage your head." After he took care of the man's wounds, the Samaritan lifted him up and put him on his donkey. He led the donkey along the road until they came to an inn. The Samaritan spent the night at the inn, taking care of the injured man. The next morning he went to the innkeeper. "I must be on my way now," he said. "Please take care of the man." He handed the innkeeper 2 silver coins. "If you spend more than this on him, I will pay you on my way back home." Jesus stopped talking. Then he looked at the teacher and said, "Which of these 3 people was a real neighbor to the man who was beaten up?" There was only one answer the teacher could give: the one who showed pity. Jesus said, "Go and do the same." Another day, Jesus welcomed a tax collector to the group that was listening to him. No one was more hated than the tax collector, who cheated the people whenever he had the chance. Some of the religious leaders in the village thought that Jesus was wrong to make friends with tax collectors. "Look at him," one of the leaders said. "He teaches about God and the kingdom of heaven, but then he hangs out with all kinds of bad people." "I know," said another. "He even eats with them. What kind of teacher keeps company with such people?" Jesus heard the men and invited them to join him. "Do you want to know what God's love is really like?" he said. And he told them this story. The Prodigal Son. A rich man had 2 sons. One day the younger son came to him and said, "Father, I want my share of your wealth now. I don't want to wait for it until you die." The father was very sad to hear his son's request, but he agreed and divided his money between his 2 sons. A few days later, the younger son packed up everything and left for a distant country, far from his father's home. "Now I can do anything I pleased," he said to himself. And that's what he did. The young man went out every night. He went to wild parties. He spent all his money on fine clothes and the best things to eat. Soon, he had no money left. About that time, a famine hit the land. There was nothing to eat. To keep from starving, the young man went to the local farm and begged the farmer to give him a job feeding the pigs. The farmer agreed, and the young man took the job. He was so hungry that he even ate the pig's food. One day, he woke up and said, "What am I doing? What am I thinking? Even my father's hired hands have more to eat than I do. I will go home and ask my father to forgive me. Maybe, just maybe, he'll hire me as a worker." After walking for many days, the young man saw his father's house above the road at the top of the hill. He stopped. "What will my father say when he sees me?" he thought. "Will he turn me away?" But just then he saw a man running down the hill. His father! When he reached his son, the father took him in his arms. "I am so glad to see you. Welcome home, son," the father said, his eyes filled with tears of happiness. The son quickly said, "Father, I am so sorry. I don't deserve your kindness. I have treated you badly. I've spent all the money you gave me on foolish things. I'm not worthy to be your son anymore." The father had already forgiven him. He took his son back to the house and ordered his servants to find the finest robe for him. Then he gave his son a beautiful ring and brand new sandals. "We must celebrate," he told his servants. "Find the fattest calf and prepare a great feast. I thought I would never see my son again, but now he is here. I thought he was lost, but now he's found." As the father ordered his servants to prepare the feast, he noticed his older son sulking in the corner. "My boy," said the father, "what is wrong? Why do you look so angry? Come and join the celebration." The older son shook his head and complained, "All these years I worked hard for you, but you never honored me with a feast. You never gave me a fine robe or a ring. Yet my younger brother throws away your money on wild living, and you treat him like a hero." "Oh, my dear boy, my son," the father said tenderly, "you and I are very close. Everything I have is yours. There is nothing I would refuse you. But look, your brother was dead, now he is alive. Your brother was lost, but now he is found. We have to celebrate." Jesus stopped talking, and the crowd was completely quiet. He looked straight at the religious leaders. "God's love is just like that," he told them. "He rejoices whenever someone comes back to him." So, there are a few questions that we would like you to think about. So, for the Good Samaritan, the first story, we would like you to think about this. Based on this story, how do you think God wants us to treat other people? In what ways can you show God's love to others? Okay, so you can write your answers to these questions on loose leaf paper and email them to myself or Ms. Johnson, or you can leave your answers right in the comment box below the video. The second story wants you to think about this. What do you think about how the rich man treated his two sons? Did the older son have a right to be unhappy? So try and put yourself in that situation if you had siblings. Would you be happy that the father is throwing a party? Or would you be unhappy about it? Okay, so you have a few things that we want you to think about for this story. Leave your comments below or email us your answers. And we will see you back here again for another Bible story.